So here we have some examples of Ambrosian hymns now. Let's take a look at the Aeterna Rerum Conditer. We'll look at the words first. Eternal Creator of the world, who rules day and night and gives the hours their time in order to alleviate tedium. I like that. Now the herald of day, the watchman of deepest night, calls forth a nocturnal light for the wanderers, dividing the night from the night. So here at the sunrise time, we're going to do just as they did in the East, and that is to sanctify time by, when nighttime comes, we sing of Jesus being the light, and when morning comes, we sing of Jesus being the resurrection, and all day long, we sing about God being the creator of all of it. So all of life, all of the activities of the day give us an excuse to pray 7 times a day and to sing. Now notice the Latin text and how it's in long meter, what we now know as long meter. Let's count it out. Aeterna rerum conditor, that was 8. Noctem diem qui regis, et temporum das tempora, ut alleves fastidium. So there you have it, 8, 8, 8, 8. And then the second stanza happens. And as you look at the music, you see it's almost identical with each of those 4 stanzas. They are just 4 verses that are set very similarly. Not quite syllabically. There are a few 2-note neumes within that music, but by and large, it's 1 syllable per note. We'll try it. You want to try singing it? All right, now you notice that it's 4 lines that are part of the staff, and the top line has a C there, so that's marking middle C. That's a relative pitch. It only really has to do with where half steps and whole steps are, so I'm not going to sing as high as it has. And therefore, our first pitch is a G, and this looks like it's in hypomixolydian mode. Aeterna rerum conditor, noctem diem qui regis, et temporum das tempora, ut alleves fastidium. And we sing the second stanza together. Precotie iam soniat, noctis profunde pervivigil, nocturna lux viantibus, anno Dei notem segregans. All right, we go on. We get to the last stanza. You notice that there's added an antiphon, just as they would do at the end of a psalm. To God the Father be glory, and to his only Son, with the Spirit, the Comforter, now and forevermore. Amen. It's so common to end with this antiphon that's a Trinitarian tag, a doxology at the end. Even though this isn't a psalm, it's been a long-standing habit by this point. So that is one hymn that Ambrose himself wrote. Let's look at one more of what we would call Ambrosian hymns. It's not necessarily by Ambrose himself, but it is of that same kind of style, so we get a feel for it. Written in Italian notation, so it's a little easier for us to grasp. So it starts on an F, and then you see there's some B flats added, and it ends with a D. Now what that tells me right away is that this is in mode 1, or Dorian mode, because the final is a D, and it spends a lot of time in an A. You can't necessarily see that. Now, one thing that's interesting is that there's a B flat both times that it comes up. And the reason is because it's too close to an F for there to be a B natural. In this day, what they would call that is they softened the B in order to avoid a tritone, which is the devil's interval. So ironically, you know, we know Dorian mode, we learned it as D to D on the white keys of a piano, and it finishes with a D, and so it's got a B natural. And that's different than natural minor. But when you look at this piece, it is in natural minor. It's just that the B's were softened with what we came to know as accidentals. Again, an irony of history. Let enough hundreds of years go by and all the rules are not what we know them to be. Let's go ahead and sing this. Again, relative pitch. O splendor of God's glory bright, O thou that bringest light from light, O light of light, light's living spring, O day all days illumining. O thou true sun, on us thy glance let fall in royal radiance, the Spirit sanctifying beam upon our earthly senses stream. Eventually, Amen. All right, so that's an original plain chant. Comes from the Sarum Plain Song. And notice how it's mostly stepwise motion, and it's mostly syllabic in its setting, with the occasional couple of long notes at the end of a phrase. Doesn't exactly feel like long meter to us. We don't sense a chord progression or anything like that, but neither did they.